Step outside on a winter morning. Watch a horror scene unfold on screen. Hear the exact moment in a song that breaks something open in your chest. 3 completely different experiences. 1 identical physical response. The hair on your arms stands up. Your skin tightens. A wave moves across your body that you didn't choose and can't fully control. Goosebumps. We've all had them. But almost nobody stops to ask, why does cold, fear, and a piece of music all produce the exact same reaction in your skin? The cold and fear parts have straightforward explanations rooted in survival. We'll cover those. But the third one, music, is where it gets genuinely strange. Because music goosebumps involve a completely different brain system. They're linked to dopamine, emotional openness, and a phenomenon only about half the human population can actually experience. Let's start at the beginning, with your skin. Beneath the surface of your skin, attached to every hair follicle, is a tiny muscle called the erector pili. When this muscle contracts, it pulls the hair upright, and the skin around it dimples slightly, creating that characteristic bumpy texture dot in animals with thick fur. This response is genuinely useful. When a cat arches its back and its fur stands on end, it's trapping air between the hairs to create an insulating layer. Warmth and cold, or the illusion of greater size when threatened. In humans, who lost most of our body hair somewhere along the evolutionary road, the mechanism remained. The fur did not. What we're left with is the reflex without the result. The cold trigger is the most straightforward. When your body temperature drops, your sympathetic nervous system releases norepinephrine, which causes the erector pili to contract. It's a thermoregulation reflex, one that worked beautifully when we had fur. Now it just raises the hair on your arms and changes nothing about your actual warmth. Fear works through the same pathway, same sympathetic activation, same norepinephrine release, but for a different reason. In a threatening situation, making yourself appear larger had survival value. The response remains wired in, even when the threat is a movie monster and not a predator. Both make sense. Both are ancient. But then there's music, and music is a different story entirely. The chills you get from music have a name, frisson, from the French word for shiver. And here's what makes frisson genuinely remarkable. It does not involve the sympathetic nervous system. Cold and fear hijack your survival system. Frisson bypasses it entirely. It activates something different, something connected to reward, pleasure, and the brain's response to beauty itself. What's happening in your brain when a song gives you chills is closer to what happens when you eat something delicious or receive unexpected good news than to what happens when you're cold or afraid. In 2011, neuroscientist Valerie Salimpour and her team at McGill University gave participants music that reliably gave them chills and scanned their brains. What they found was striking. At the precise moments of peak emotional response, the brain released dopamine, the same neurotransmitter involved in pleasure, motivation, and reward. The auditory cortex, which processes sound, was communicating directly with the nucleus accumbens, the brain's reward center. The music wasn't just being heard. It was being processed as a form of reward. Your brain was treating a piece of music the way it treats food, connection, and survival itself. But why do only certain moments in music trigger this response? Your brain is a prediction machine. As you listen to music, it's constantly anticipating what comes next. The next note, the next beat, the next chord. Frisson tends to occur at moments of violated expectation, when the music does something your brain didn't predict. An unexpected chord change, a sudden shift in dynamics, a voice entering where you didn't expect it. The surprise activates the reward system. The more your brain loves a particular pattern, and the more beautifully it's broken, the stronger the chills. Your brain gets goosebumps from being wrong in exactly the right way. Here's something that might surprise you. Not everyone experiences frisson. Research suggests that only around 50% of people regularly get chills from music, and the difference isn't about musical taste or training. It comes down to a specific personality trait and a measurable difference in brain structure. If you've never gotten chills from a song, this next part will explain why. And if you have, it reveals something you might not have known about yourself. People who experience frisson score consistently higher on one specific personality trait: openness to experience, a measure of imaginative richness, emotional depth, and sensitivity to beauty. And it's not just psychological. A 2016 study by Matthew Sachs at USC found that people who experience frisson have a denser volume of fibers, connecting their auditory cortex to the areas that process emotion. In other words, if music gives you chills, your brain is literally more connected between sound and feeling than average. You don't just hear the music differently, you feel it differently, at a structural level. So what does it mean if music gives you chills? It means you process emotional information deeply. That beauty, in sound, in art, in experience, reaches you at a level that is neurologically measurable, not just subjectively felt. Frisson has been called a form of emotional intelligence, the ability to be genuinely moved by something outside yourself. And those goosebumps, those tiny, useless, ancient bumps on your skin, are the only physical evidence of that happening. And this leaves us with one of the most fascinating open questions in neuroscience. Music has no obvious survival value. You can't eat it. It doesn't protect you from predators. It doesn't help you find shelter, and yet it moves human beings to tears, to chills, to states of awe that few other experiences can produce. Why does the brain treat music like a reward at all? That question still doesn't have a complete answer. But the fact that it does tells us something important about what it means to be human. Next time the cold raises the hair on your arms, that's a 300-million-year-old survival reflex your body never quite let go of. Next time fear does it, that's your threat system preparing you in a fraction of a second. And next time a song does it, that's your brain doing something it was never strictly required to do, finding beauty, being moved by it, and leaving the evidence on your skin. Goosebumps, it turns out, are one of the most human things we have. If this changed how you think about something your body does every day, subscribe to WhyZ for a new video every week. Next up, why do we cry when we're happy? Tears make sense when you're sad, but joy, pride, and being overwhelmed by beauty all produce the same response. The neuroscience behind emotional tears is stranger than you'd expect. See you there.